All right, hello, good evening, and welcome to a December 26th edition of KC Sports Tonight. I am Mark Poulose, joined by Katie Maher, and I hope all of you who celebrated have a very, very nice Christmas. Got to see your family and talk to all those people, celebrate the real reason for the season. But today, we have four great topics to talk about here on KC Sports Tonight. And Katie, we're going to start with the one, I know you were out there at Arrowhead Stadium yesterday, and just kind of watching the game on the broadcast, it really seemed like Amazon wanted to kind of have like a retirement party after the game for Travis Kelce. I'm not quite sure that we're there yet, but I know there were certainly a lot of feels, a lot of emotions out there at Arrowhead. How did kind of the city, how did they react to potentially Travis's last game at Arrowhead Stadium, and then yesterday, how at the end of the game, how were the emotions inside the building?
Yeah, well, Prime Video clearly wanted to work the Travis Kelce angle. You can check out my video where the video guys just completely cut off all the local media to get the shot of him coming down the tunnel. Thank you, Prime, for that. Still a little bitter about it, but it's okay. But yeah, it was before the game, player intros. Under the primetime lights, it's always extra when they do that at nighttime. But Travis was the final player that was introed on the field. Typically that's Mahomes, but obviously with Mahomes not there, pretty easy to guess who that's going to be, Travis Kelce. It was maybe the loudest, like the only comparison I could make in terms of like sound, like crowd pop of applause and cheers is like when I've been there for AFC championships up in the press box when like I remember the one against the Bengals 3 years ago when they punched their ticket to the Arizona Super Bowl. That crowd pop I would compare to the level of cheers that Travis Kelce got last night just for his player intro.
So you're saying that it was when the Butker made that field goal that just got over the upright. Wow, okay.
Like I would rival it there. Maybe I'm just like recency bias with that. It was 3 years ago, but like that it was just so loud. And Neil Jones agreed with me. We didn't talk about that specific scenario, but he agreed that was like one of the loudest crowd pops he's ever heard for a player intro, or just in general. So Arrowhead wasn't full. It was nearly full, but they were still mighty and loud for Travis Kelce because there's a good chance that was his final game at Arrowhead Stadium. He still has one more game this season against the Raiders in Vegas, but it was extra special. And I just felt like there were a lot of things that he did differently than what I've noticed in his behavior in the past. And it starts with he wore a Chiefs sweatshirt to the game. When have we seen him wear a Chiefs sweatshirt as part of his game day fit? I mean, maybe there have been times, but none that I remember, at least this season or last season or the season before. And then, when he comes back in, when the whole team comes back in the tunnel and we're waiting to be led into the locker room and we get that shot of them and there are some fans in the Bud Light locker room club or whatever, a lot of the players will like high five the fans as they come back in. Travis typically doesn't do that. He walks in, he usually does his he claps as he walks after a win. And if they lose, he's typically walking back in
stone-faced,
sad that they lost. Yeah. He high-fived all the fans coming back in, and he doesn't typically do that. I picked up on that. And then there was another moment that a lot of people picked up on in his player intro where he paused for a moment. He did his typical walked in and then kind of turned around and kind of just paused for a second and kind of took it all in. And he was asked about that at the podium after, and he said, I always try to take it in, and how could you not do that, blah, blah, blah. There just felt like there were a lot of things that felt very sentimental, and maybe that's because his decision is already made up a little bit in the direction of retirement, or it's because he's still deciding, and he maybe made an extra note of, hey, I should take a second to take in this stuff and really reflect on them to help me make my decision. It could be either one, but I definitely noticed some notes of sentiment in his behavior last night.
No, I absolutely agree, and I love what you said about how he came out of the tunnel, because we've seen, for some of the biggest games, some of the biggest moments in Chiefs franchise history, Travis, when he comes out of that tunnel, kind of puts on a show, gets the crowd going. He's very animated, kind of runs up and down. And yesterday, it was very interesting to see that video, because it really was a guy. He literally just took a moment to look at the crowd when he kind of wheeled around with his arms around. And it was like, that's a guy that was soaking it all up. Now, I want to make this question a little forward-looking, because I know this whole last week we've done so much talking about, is this Travis' potential final game at Arrowhead Stadium? But we really need to look forward and kind of push that discussion 1 week further, because obviously now the Chiefs next week taking on the Las Vegas Raiders in what could be Travis's final game in a Chiefs uniform. Now, Katie, you are such a good person to talk about this, because it's the perfect intersection of of sports and pop culture, because with Travis
Swiftyism.
Kelce, it's all one and the same, because he's really bigger right now. His career, his story is much more than just him being a football player. We know, obviously, he is engaged to maybe the most famous person on planet Earth. We know he has aspirations to do things off the football field. We know there have been avenues that have opened with him for entertainment. We've seen him host Saturday Night Live. We've seen him do acting, and now obviously with his fiance. And then also we just see how much more polished he has become over the last couple of years. But Katie, the reason I'm bringing this up is, to me, you can make the argument that Travis Kelce is still very, very productive and very good as a football player. I was doing some research earlier. Right now, Travis Kelce, among all tight ends in the NFL, ranks number 3 in receiving yards. This is a guy that's 36 years old. He's playing in his 13th NFL season. This is a person, if you talk to a lot of people, just fans around the league, they'll tell you, oh, he's not as fast as he used to be. Travis Kelce is washed up. But when you just look at the numbers, like, Travis is producing. You also look at maybe some of the biggest moments in the Chiefs season. Who were the quarterbacks targeting? Patrick Mahomes was targeting Travis Kelce. Gardner Minshew in some of his biggest moments, although he had very few snaps, who was he throwing the football to? Travis Kelce. We look at yesterday, Chris Oladokun in his first NFL start, some big moments. Who was he targeting when he needed to maybe get some yards? It was Travis Kelce. So I guess what I'm saying is, the players on the football field still seem to, the quarterbacks especially, like, hey, I need someone to throw the football to. They're looking to Travis. Katie, my question here, do you think Travis, obviously, what's the situation with his wedding? There's some reports out there that he's getting married in June. Is this like, is a situation like with a wedding with Taylor Swift? Like, would he have to walk away from football to do all that kind of stuff? What do you think?
No, because I'm sure they have the greatest celebrity wedding planner in the history of the world.
Let's go. See, this is why we have Katie Maher on the show.
The reports are that their wedding is June 13th this coming summer. I'm going to go ahead and believe that's true, because I was kind of explaining this to you one time, the way that, like, pop culture works, where, like, when things are leaked, like a wedding date or a breakup or a relationship starting, and nothing comes out from that person denying it, it's typically because someone from their PR team told a source at People magazine or whatever else, and that's so it's probably true. It's probably in June of 2026, and it's probably gonna be in, like, Rhode Island at either Taylor's mansion or, like, a venue nearby or whatever. That's what the people are saying right now, and because there are no denying rumors of that, I'm gonna believe that it's true, because that's kind of just how pop culture works these days. But I don't think the wedding planning aspect of it all is like going to be a reason why he retires or steps away for a second, or it's going to distract him or whatever. Because, like I said, they probably have, like, a fantastic wedding planner, and he's probably literally just going to, like, get his suit sized and show up, and that's fine.
That's pretty much what I did. My wife did a great job wedding planning, so shout out to the guys that get that.
Yeah. So, but the number one reason that people have for saying that he's not going to hang it up after this season is because, like you just said, he's having still one of the best seasons of any tight end in the NFL right now. He's in the best shape that he's been in a while. He's having a statistically better season than he did last year when he didn't have too hot of a season. And he's doing all this at 36 years old. And the mindset is, if you can still physically play and you're healthy and you're not doing terrible, like, why hang that up? Why give that up? It just feels like the indication in everything he's saying in his podcast, and at the podium and all that stuff. It just kind of feels like he's maybe just wanting to enter that next chapter of his life. He might just be a little tired. That's fine. He's been playing in the NFL. He's already a Hall of Famer for 13 years. I'm hearing he did a sit down with Tony Gonzalez that aired ahead of this game last night. It was like 15 minutes long. I haven't watched it yet, but what I'm seeing in the online chatter about it is that it basically seems like Tony Gonzalez convinced him to retire during the interview if he hadn't already decided on that. I have to go ahead and watch it because I haven't watched it yet. But apparently it was a really good interview between two Chiefs legends, of course. Again, like, we hear Neil Jones has been big about saying this. Our former Chiefs linebacker and sports analyst here at KCTV5, Desmond Moses, also is of the belief that he has another year in him because he's healthy and he's still playing well. It feels like, Taylor has said that she doesn't want, she's not going to tour for a while because the Eras tour has drained her, and fair girl. It feels like maybe they both just like take a year to like be humans and like enjoy newlywed life and things like that. That's my personal belief. If he comes back for another year, we're all going to be happy about it. And I hope she releases another album and does another tour, of course.
Yeah.
So we'll be happy if they keep working and all that stuff, but also I just wouldn't be surprised if they just want to kind of lay low for a year or so.
Yeah, no, I totally hear everything you're saying, but boy, it kind of seems like, big picture wise, when you're looking at this, maybe from the outside looking in and be like, yeah, of course Travis is going to retire after the season. Like Mahomes just had his ACL tear. They're having their worst season since 2012, I believe, and they've lost 7 of 8.
Yeah.
Like the wheels have kind of fallen off the season.
The
but
Mahomes
I guess
of it all is a big point. Like, there's a good chance he doesn't play for a good chunk of next year.
And he's not going to be there for the off season. But
Yeah.
boy, it's just like does Travis want to go out where his last 2 seasons are a blowout in the Super Bowl, and then he doesn't go out with Patrick in his final game? Like, I don't know. Like, a little bit of me was like, boy, like I don't know why, but I never imagined that Travis's last game at Arrowhead Stadium, and we don't know if that's what it was. I just never imagined that Patrick Mahomes would not be the quarterback, because they just had so many delivered moments to the people of Kansas City. I mean, they're one of the greatest duos in the history of American professional sports, and it was just like, it's just hard for me to imagine that Travis Kelce's story with the Chiefs ends with Chris Oladokun at quarterback for them, and especially when he's still playing, so well. And then when he talked about it last night, the first question that he was asked in his press conference was kind of about the environment at Arrowhead, and he was just like, man, when you walk out and you see, 60,000 people screaming and cheering, he's like, I'll never take a moment like that for granted, because that really is, like, those are the moments that these guys live for. And I know, obviously, he has his entire life set up for him after football. Like, he could...
Apparently not. He still needs to win the Powerball if he's going to
be set up for life. Yeah, he could win the Powerball, as he said, but, like, he
According
could be, like,
him,
a generational figure, but it's like the thing that draws him to, it motivates him is obviously that football field. So obviously a storyline that we're going to have to look out for. We don't know what's going to happen, but that Sunday game out there in Las Vegas, that could be Travis's final game in a Chiefs uniform. So be sure to stick with us here on KCTV5 as we continue to cover the Chiefs season into its waning and final moments. But we got to talk about some of the action that we saw on the football field. Last night, the Chiefs lost to the Broncos 20-13 with their third-string quarterback, Chris Oladokun, in the game. Now, some stats from the game. The Broncos, statistically, it looks like they dominated this one, outgaining the Chiefs 303 yards to 139, holding the ball for nearly 40 minutes of the game and having 22 first downs to the Chiefs' 10. But this was a tie ball game there late in the fourth quarter, and the Broncos needed to score a touchdown in this game to take the lead. So, Katie, I know the Chiefs, they're really, really struggling, but this is a team, the Broncos, who has everything to play for. They're still fighting to be one of the top seeds in the AFC. Are you kind of surprised by how the Chiefs were able to make that game competitive yesterday against one of the top teams in the AFC?
No.
Let's go. Tell us why.
I didn't think necessarily the Chiefs were going to win, but I knew it was going to be a close game, because the Broncos all season long are literally very similar to the Chiefs last year. Very good at winning one-score games. They might not even be a great team, but they're great at situational football, and that will get you a lot of places in the NFL when it comes to winning games. The Broncos went to overtime with the Commanders. Hello.
They were in dogfights with the Jets, with the Raiders.
Yeah. Are we surprised that the Broncos couldn't get it done? Almost didn't get it done in a place they haven't won in 10 years. They haven't won at Arrowhead Stadium since 2015 before last night. And like I said, they play down to the level of their opponent. The Chiefs are not a great football team right now. The Broncos played down to their level, and it was 13-13 with 2 minutes left on the clock. I was not surprised about that at all. I saw Broncos reporters that were here posting on social media I was telling you about that were like, the Broncos, this feels like an easy Christmas night win, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, have you looked at any of your final scores this year? You went to overtime with the Commanders. The Commanders are terrible.
Well,
even the Chiefs wiped away the Commanders.
I got to ask you a question about this, because I know obviously it was a pivotal moment. I believe it was 4th and 2, Broncos driving late when they needed the touchdown. Chris Jones jumps off sides. Yeah. How did the stadium respond to that moment? Because to me, that's a critical moment. Like, you're looking, I know the Chiefs wanted to play spoiler. They want to keep, but that was unacceptable from Chris Jones. What did you kind of make of that, and how did the stadium respond?
Yeah, and he owned up to that. I wish I could tell you exactly what the stadium did, but I was actually in the tunnel at that point waiting because we have to go down there by a certain time before
Otherwise, they
close.
shut off the elevator and you can't get down.
And I don't want to walk 9 flights down, and you got to get in line and get a good spot to get them coming back in, all that fun stuff.
And sometimes when you take the stairs, the door is locked when you're trying to get out. So it doesn't work out. You got to go early.
That happened to me one time during a KU football game when they were playing at Arrowhead. But yeah, so I was in the tunnel. From what I remember, at least with the fans in the Bud Light Locker Club, and then you can still hear like echoes. So like basically the game feed in that tunnel in the Bud Light Locker Room Club is like 1 second off from what's happening in the stadium. So if there's a really big, like for example, the Broncos game at Arrowhead last year when the field goal was blocked, the crowd pop that we heard while the ball was flying through the air on our screens, because we're watching it on TV in there, 1 second off, but we heard the crowd pop and we all knew like, oh my God, they either missed it or it doinked or whatever else. And of course it ended up being blocked. So when we heard, like, I kind of remember hearing like a collective, like kind of sound, but that's really all I remember. And Chris Jones owned up to this after the game. It was the very first question he was asked at the podium. Someone was like, Chris, that 4th down, and he cuts him off. He was like, I know, man, I know. And he was like, I'm kicking myself about that, blah, blah, blah. So he knew. He said he thought that the guard jumped. He thought he saw him jump, and he admitted he has to be better than that, yada, yada, yada. But, yeah, he said he was just really upset with himself for that one. And fair, because it would have been a field goal.
It's an unacceptable play there from one of your best players, one of your highest paid players, a guy that you count on to make big plays and deliver in big moments. That's just absolutely unacceptable. But one big takeaway that I took from yesterday, I was kind of interested to see maybe how Chris Oladokun would play in his first like real meaningful snaps with real preparation. But I am very, very worried about the offseason because right now the Chiefs, they're going to need quarterbacks to throw the football. We know Patrick Mahomes is going to be out for the offseason. Gardner Minshew, we know he avoided that, or at least according to reports that the Chiefs have not denied, he avoided an ACL tear. So, but we don't know if he will be. He's not under contract for next year. We don't know if he's going to be back with the team. We don't know if he will be able to throw. So right now it looks that as things stand right now, the only guy on the roster that could potentially throw footballs in the offseason is Chris Oladokun. Maybe they bring back the backup for last week's game, Shane Buechele, for the offseason. But I'm getting kind of worried about the offseason program because to run a football program, you need to have quarterbacks, and the Chiefs simply are not going to have their first stringer or likely their second stringer for the entire offseason. We know the Chiefs, obviously, they only like to bring in players that they have great familiarity with. The Chiefs offense, not the simplest thing to learn in the world. So I think if you brought in a veteran quarterback, it might take them a while to kind of get a handle of the playbook and run that for the offseason. And that will have a major impact on next season because the pass catchers this year, I know we hyped up everybody's got to eat. I know we're very excited about this group, but they have not performed to the level that any of us thought. And
except when they played the Raiders.
That's what's really been frustrating with this team. Like when they played the Raiders, when they played the Ravens, like you really saw those flashes of brilliance, but the flashes of brilliance were also intermixed with flashes of just absolutely horrible football, and that's obviously where the Chiefs now stand at 6-10 and where they are. But all right, we're going to move on here. We're going to talk about some football coming up this weekend. Tomorrow, the Missouri Tigers are back in action. They are taking on the Virginia Cavaliers in the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl out in Jacksonville, Florida. The Cavaliers, the Wahoos, ranked number 19 in the country, taking on the Tigers, who are 8-4. Missouri is going to be without their starting quarterback from the regular season, Bo Perbula, as he has entered the transfer portal. But instead, freshman quarterback Matt Zollers will start for the Tigers, a former 4-star prospect, and he did start some games this year for Missouri. And the Missouri Tigers are 4-point favorites against Virginia, something I found very interesting. Katie, kind of what are your big picture? What do you want to see out of Missouri in this game? Because I kind of want to see if Matt Zollers, with all this preparation, with knowing that Perbula is going to be out, I want to see how he performs in this game. What are you kind of looking forward to?
Yeah, I think that's what bowl games have kind of become. Because of the way the transfer portal and everything else in college football right now is working, like we're seeing a lot of starting quarterbacks enter the transfer portal. So a lot of times in these bowl games, we're seeing second and third string quarterbacks and true freshmen and all that stuff stepping up to fill these starting roles that they haven't played in all year, maybe gotten minimal playing time all year. So I'm excited to see Matt Zollers hopefully shine, get out of SEC play, and maybe, because, sorry, Mark, but the ACC, it's just not as good.
There's one good team in the ACC, and that's the University of Miami.
According to Mark. But Virginia is not a bad football team. Like, Virginia was ranked in the top 25.
Head coach Tony Elliott, Dabble Sweeney's staff, yeah.
Yeah, once they started getting respected about halfway through the season, they were ranked for most of the season. And Virginia was one ACC championship win away from being in the college football playoff. Like, there's a very good chance they would have gotten in. So, yeah, I don't think Virginia can be doubted just because they were, an ACC team. They were one of the top 3 ACC teams all year. Unfortunately, they just chose to lose to Duke for whatever reason. How does one lose to Duke? I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that Mizzou is going to bring a higher level of play than Virginia is capable of hitting. I think Mizzou wins this game because they're the better team, but I think it'll be a good game because, like I said, Virginia is a good team, and Mizzou does have the Mizzou does have the drawback of playing a quarterback who doesn't have as much playing experience.
One thing I got to say, though, is I think Coach Drink is really going to have these guys ready to go because he had a great soundbite earlier this season, I think, when the Tigers lost their second SEC game, that he's like, guys, like, if we just act like if it's go to the college football playoff or bust, like, what are we doing here in the sport of college football? Like, Coach Eli Drinkwitz, I really believe, is one of those throwback coaches that can really find ways to motivate these young men to not give up. Like, obviously, are they playing the college football playoff? No, but they are playing in a great bowl game against a good team, and they can kind of set the stage for next season. So much of these bowl games of keeping players opting in is so important because that is where you truly can continue to develop your roster. Think about what KU and K-State gave up this year by KU missing a bowl game, K-State opting not to play in a bowl game.
Both of them opting not to play in a bowl game.
Those are 3 weeks of extra practices where other teams, the premier programs in college football, are continuing to practice and continuing to get better while your players are at home sitting around doing absolutely nothing. Now, Coach Drink he is a great motivator of men, and he really can rally guys, so I'm so excited to see how they're going to play. And think about some of the players that Missouri has on their roster. They have first-team All-American Ahmad Hardy, one of the best running backs in all of college football. Also, one of their offensive linemen, right tackle, Keegan Trost, was the PFF #1 graded O-lineman in all of college football. Now, do I like Pro Football Focus? Really not a lot. But I got to say, like, their top-rated lineman in all of college football plays at the University of Missouri. Also, another guy on the University of Missouri, Caden Green from Lee Summit North, one of his high school assistant coaches, works here with us as a photographer. He could be a potential top 100 pick in next year's draft right here at a Lee Summit. So there's a lot of cool pieces to watch on this Tigers team. 4-point favorites. They kick off tomorrow night at 6:30 p.m. out there at the home of the Jacksonville Jaguars, I believe, taking on the Cavaliers there in that TaxSlayer Gator Bowl on national TV. We will have a recap of that game coming up tomorrow on KC Sports Tonight. But we have one more topic to talk about here on the show, and it involves the Kansas City Mavericks in a little bit of an inadvertent way. The ECHL and the union representing the players in that league have not been able to come to an agreement. They had a CBA that expired in June of 2025, and they've kind of been playing out I believe under last year's agreement so far for this part of the season. They've been negotiating. The players union wants better pay. They want better travel accommodations. They want more days off. I mean, the ECHL plays a very demanding 72-game schedule, so there's obviously, and it's minor league sports, there's a lot going on here. But the players union representing the players in this league said, hey, guys, if we don't come to an agreement by the end of the holiday break, like when the holiday break is over, which is today, December 26th, we're not coming back. So right now, the Mavericks game tonight at the Tulsa Oilers has been postponed. The ECHL is obviously trying to resolve this issue as quickly as possible. But Katie, this is a little bit of an interesting situation. Minor league hockey out there at the ECHL, though. The KC Mavericks put on a very good show. What's a game day environment like out there for the Mavericks?
When
just if you were going to a game, I think they put on a good show out there.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, there's a reason why kids love to go to it, families love to go to it. It feels like they do a really great job of putting together a lot of family-oriented events to get people excited to go. You drive past Cable Dahmer Arena, and it always just looks like it's a hopping place, which can't be said for a lot of other minor league type of stadiums and vibes. Speaking from like a Northeast point of view, like, I mean, you roll up to like a minor league ballpark and it's on some days a hopping place to be, but not always.
Yeah.
It depends on the team, depends on the fan base, but I think the Mavericks have built a really solid fan base. And this whole issue is kind of, I think, just calling attention to a larger issue within all minor league sports. This is an issue. This is not just the ECHL. Like, this is an issue that a lot of people, a lot of players and coaches in minor league sports and many types of sports, not just hockey, face constantly. Grueling travel schedules, not good pay, not good living conditions, all that stuff. So good for the players for calling attention to it. Then yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to see kind of what happens here, though. I do know that the KC Mavericks, they do run one of the best organizations in the ECHL. This is a team and an organization that within the ECHL, other players really have wanted to come to. And they, like this year, the KC Mavericks had more returning players than any other team in the league. And I think when we have this discussion here in Kansas City, when we talk about this, that is something that we have to talk about. The KC Mavericks had more returning players than any other team in the league. Now, obviously, there are some teams maybe in this league that maybe they do need to have some situations change. We'll have to see what happens. Although one thing that is important to say is that the NHL's Players Association, so that they did back the PHPA, which is the Professional Hockey Players Association, which did announce their intentions to strike here in the ECHL. But hey, we're going to see what happens with that story. Obviously, it's developing. Their first game back from that holiday break would be tonight. So tonight's Mavericks game against the Tulsa Oilers has been postponed due to that league situation. But we will continue to kind of watch that situation as it develops. But Katie, very exciting day yesterday at Arrowhead Stadium. Hopefully that's not the last time that we see Travis Kelce there in a Chiefs uniform, but it could be next Sunday when they take on the Raiders out there in Las Vegas. Also, guys, be sure tomorrow, be sure to look out for those Missouri Tigers taking on the Virginia Cavaliers out there in the TaxSlayer Gator Bowl. Once again, the Tigers 4-point favorites against the Wahoos. We'll see if they can get their 9th win of the season against the Cavaliers. But that is a look at KC Sports Tonight on this Friday, December 26th. Hope you guys all had a great holiday weekend, and that continues here on Saturday and Sunday. Oh, my favorite. What did I get? I got some cool things. My favorite one is actually probably a new lob wedge for golf, so that'll help me get a little extra spin on those chip shots. I'm excited about that. What about you, Katie?
I got these shoes that you can kind of see on camera.
Let's go. Yeah, her New Balance. Very proud.
Yeah. What's your favorite Christmas tradition that you did?
Ooh, well, we always do a sibling gift exchange. I love doing that. Got my older sister in that this year, but a new one I think that we're starting to do because I have some nieces and nephews and we're getting gifts for them, and it sounds a little corny, whatever, but now like it was very cool to give those my nieces and nephews gifts and see how excited they were.
Aww.
So I think that's. What about you though? What about you?
Well, I was by myself this year. Family back home on the East Coast, and I'm here covering the Chiefs miss, of course. But I did some bacon on Tuesday night, which was my Sunday of my weekend, which is a Christmas tradition in my family. We always bake cookies and stuff on Christmas Eve, so I kind of made Tuesday my Christmas Eve. And I just watched all the movies. And I opened presents on HBO Max. They have a Harry Potter Yule log. And it was very nice background on the TV.
Yes, I actually have seen some of those Netflix fireplace settings. They really do give a great ambiance. Also, one thing, whatever, it's so late here in the show, but a new Christmas tradition that I do like that we've adopted. So every year we kind of make a prime rib, and my brother-in-law has long said that my dad way overcooks this, dries out the meat. So my brother-in-law has seized the prime rib cooking from my father. Last night he made an unbelievable prime rib. So I want to shout out my brother-in-law, Dr. Kirk Rieger. You made an unbelievable prime rib, and I hope we continue you on the beef for many years to come. Oh, we can bring you some, but you got to bring us some of those cookies that you talked about. Okay. That's the deal.
I will.
All right, there we go. Hey, you guys bring some cookies to your friend. Maybe bring over some leftover prime rib if you have it.
Bring them over.
The more the merrier. Spread the joy this season. That's a look at KC Sports Tonight. We will see you guys tomorrow. Take care.